Shalom, shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakathum. Yahweh Shemar Alathan by Shem Yahweh Shai. The brothers and the sisters, you in live with priest and captain and not the Zak and Shah of the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commanding General Yohana. All right. Here to get it on. The biblical scripture breakdown class. All right. We'll give everybody just a few moments to get in there. All right. We picking up where we left off. You got World War III's jumping off, leading up to everything that's going on, all the curses and the punishments that's going on, leading to the fall of this empire. The Lord is wrapping up this empire, contrary to what your preacher, with your mama, your aunts, your cousins, all of that pray for America and hope for the best and, just try to fit in where you get in. Like all of that, the Lord is shaking up everything. The Lord is shaking up everything because the time is running short on this empire. We're going to get into a lot of that here. All right. Okay. Great. All right. We're going to go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. Just give everybody a few moments to get in here. On the Joel, the 3rd chapter. Back where we left off. We're going to hit Isaiah, the 1st chapter. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barakatah. Yahweh Shemar Alathan by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right. And this empire is going up. It's getting ready to go up in flames. You understand? All right, all right. Let's just see. Right. Yeah, all right. All right, right. We're going to hit some revelation. We're going to hit all kind of things here. We're going into it, all right. Right. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to Joel, or Joel. Some brothers might say it a different way. Joel, the 3rd chapter. All right. So we're going to start there, leading up to and talking about World War III, all the things that's going on, everything that's going to transpire. That's what we're getting into. All right. As a matter of fact, we're going to start with Joel or Ezekiel. We're going to start with Joel. Right. Just a moment, everybody, make sure you sign up for attendance. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Everybody be sure to hit that thumbs up. All those things important, helping and support the channel. The brothers and sisters can wake up because this place is getting ready to go up. You understand? It's getting ready to go up. Right? Isaiah 14th chapter. We're going to get that. All right. So we're going to start Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. All right. Most High in Christ, y'all. Right. Joel chapter 3 and verse 1 is the Lord talking. For behold, in those days and in that time, which is the time and the days that we are in, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. The Bible is saying Judah and Jerusalem. It's talking about the so-called Jews. The so-called Jews, the real biblical ethnic Jews, are so-called black people, so-called Negroes, so-called West Indians, so-called, so-called Haitians, the real biblical ethnic Jews. Jews was short for Judah or the southern kingdom. We have been split up since the days of King Solomon's son took over. We have been separated. That's why the entire mission of the disciples he sent Christ on, sent his disciples on the same mission, the mission of the prophets, the entire mission of the Isupk is not to go and love and find Africans to love and set up schools in Africa like fake Israelites do, but it is to go and find the lost sheep of the house of Israel, to reunite blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans back to our God and our ancient culture and to protect our people. You understand? That's why we explain it. If you're not in the Isupk, the Lord is not with you. You are not in the truth. You understand? And it's for the protection and for the safety of our brothers and sisters, because no one is authorized by God to protect, to lead our people and lead our nation. Everyone has had their hand in the ability to galvanize our people and our resources, you understand, and our manpower and the spirit of our people seeking to serve the Most High and looking for the leadership in every place except for who God appointed. And the Lord is getting ready to destroy all these false prophets and everything else leading up to the destruction of this empire. You understand? That's why you see things transpire the way that they are. All right. So we're gonna get into it. All right, let's see. Make it a little bit bigger for y'all. There we go. All right. So Job chapter 3 and verse 1, which is where we ended off the last time. It says, "For behold, in that time I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, the captivity of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel." Everyone thought that this was a moot point, a moot point, that it was old, it was done away with, that it didn't matter, it was in the past. We're going to talk about the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem just a little bit. You understand? Like the way that our oppressor has crushed and oppressed all 12 of God's tribes, all 12 so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the amount of cruelty that he has shown our people, that the so-called white man and his empires, be it the French, the Dutch, the Portuguese, be it the Irish, the Romans, the Germans, the Italians, the Spaniard, you understand, the Spanish conquistador, and all of their descendants and their children, and the wealth that they have gained from oppressing, starving, enslaving, and murdering and robbing our people. You understand? Like the Lord said, he's going to bring this up again, because the world has seemed to forgotten or gotten over or believed that they can leave in the past the murder of God's chosen people, which is why the Lord is going to suck everyone on the planet into World War III. Nobody believes that it is such a big of deal, the crimes that has happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And that's why the Lord is getting ready to drag everyone in this war. Here's the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. It says in the Lord, Deuteronomy 28 and 68, "The Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, a house of bondage or slavery, which is America." We are in an entire kingdom built on slavery, just like ancient Egypt was. Exodus chapter 1 says we built treasure cities for the Egyptians. Cities of Ramses and Pithom, we built them pyramids. And then ignorantly worshiping and idolizing that Egyptians' culture, the vanity of thinking that they could steal and take away their wealth to another life and be rich with servants after they die because they don't know the Most High, and the arrogancy of thinking of themselves as gods. That's why they requested them pyramids be made in their honor. It was not our culture, but we were the ones that built those pyramids. That's why you see the same pyramid styles with different variations being built. In America, you got the Mississippi Valley, the Mississippi Mound Builders of the tribe of Gad. You got the Olmecs, the Toltecs. You got the Incas, the Aztecs in Central and South America. You'll find pyramids there with the Mayan, the Aztec, the Incan empires down, you understand, with the Andes Mountains. You'll find these various structures in everywhere that we went, because we've been in slavery under every nation of people. The problem is these nations don't think that they have to pay for what they have done to our people. They don't think that they have to pay for the wealth that they have gained on top of us while we were destroyed, while our identity was wiped out, while we were running for our lives from drug wars that America started, while they were executing us for the gold and the pearls and the diamonds that they forced the Tainos and Aztecs and Mayans to give over and mine for them, while they fed us alive to their dogs and their pigs, and they slaughtered and executed our babies and hung us from trees and burned us alive in houses and warehoused us in prisons and starved us to this very day, putting our babies in dog cages and INS detention centers, have God's chosen people living under bridges when America And these other nations have all the resources that they need, which they got from murdering the tribe of Gad, the tribe of Issachar, the tribes of Judah and Benjamin, and all of the 12 tribes that built and made America, America's businesses, America's bank accounts, America's Wall Streets, America's industry, America's inventions on every single level. All of that wealth could not be had, and it is attributed to the slavery and the captivity of God's chosen people. America and the world's economy at its foundational core came and changed drastically because of the power that our oppressor has from enslaving God's chosen people. And everyone believes that it is acceptable and that there is no crime or payment to get rich with this empire, like we read in Revelations, the 18th chapter, because that's just commerce. That's just business. That's just the way that it goes. That's just, capitalism. But that is against God. You understand? That Western way of thinking, that Christianity, that democracy, that capitalism, that white supremacy spread across the world, that is the mark of the beast. You understand? So when the Lord says, I'm going to bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, this is what he's talking about. The Lord said, you shall bring us again into Egypt with ships. This is the transatlantic slave trade recorded in the Bible. By the way whereof our homeland I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. This is why if you ask black people, where do you come from? What is our homeland? You're going to get a bunch of names. You're going to get names. You're going to get cities. You're going to get colors. You're going to get music. You're going to get gangs. You're going to get political affiliations, religions. None of these things is an identity for our people. And this is a part of the captivity that God is going to punish the world for, taking part in our captivity. You understand? By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. We've not seen our homeland. Right now, our homeland is filled with the other nations of people. It's filled with Arabs. It's filled with so-called Turks, so-called Saudis, so-called Jordanians and Yemenis and Iraqis and Iranians and Afghans and Palestinians, you understand, and Lebanese and the Jewish man. That land belongs to the children of Israel. And God is going to drag them and everyone else on the planet into an endless open warfare that none of them will be able to escape, because no one cares about the captivity of God's chosen people. They stole our records. Let me not get ahead of myself. And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, meaning a man or a woman that has a price on their head. That is why they are selling our people. You understand? Everybody makes music, but we are the ones that's being sold for music. It might seem like another nation of people is making some music. All of these songs are coming from our people. Techno, though it may seem like it is an Asian music, a black woman invented that. You understand? Rock and roll, Muddy Waters, hip hop, R&B, blues, jazz, rhythm, all the music and sounds, all of these things were invented by God's chosen people. Now you might have the oppressor making rock and country and all of these songs, and he might galvanize some things to keep and make it seem like it's strictly for and by his people. But all of these things he's stolen from us. The Bible says that Jacob is the former of all things, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance, the Lord's chosen people. All of this comes from us. You understand? And the Lord said we would be bondmen and bondwomen. Everyone is selling the basketball shoes for LeBron and Michael and Patrick Ewing and Scottie Pippen and Steph Curry. They have industries creating shoes because we are bondmen and bondwomen. The liquor, the alcohol, there are industries created selling alcohol because rappers mention it. I've never heard rich white men, Robin Leach, Donald Trump. I've never heard famous rich oppressors or anyone else talk about their Versace this, their Balenciaga this, their Gucci this, their Rolex this. You understand? The Patek watches. You understand? Us saying these things makes it popular, makes it a commodity. You start rapping about Timberlands and Pelly and Averex jackets. You got to be a little older to remember those. You understand? We make the brands. We make pop culture. Pop music was made based on whatever black people were doing that made it popular. Once they were able to find a white-friendly version of it that was less ethnic, or they found a way to be able to exploit enough black people so that they could make the majority of the wealth and the money off of it, which these so-called Jewish men pioneered robbing black people. Since the days we came out of Egypt, they have pioneered destroying and feeding off of our people and sold us as bondmen and bondwomen. I don't have to tell you, NFL, NBA, the NBA draft, all of those things, the boxing matches, all of these things there that have revolutionized the world, their entertainment, the football, the basketball, the Final Four, all of these things at every level, we are being sold. You understand? From hair care products. Who knows what the Chinese hair care product is? What are the products that the Chinese put in their hair? Or the Arab woman? You didn't even get to see the Arab woman's hair. Or the African woman. They don't even do their hair in Africa. That's the Israelite customs. You understand? But what you understand is everyone is marketing something to us. They're getting rich off of our people because we are the ones that we have a price on our heads. You understand? And that's what the Bible is talking about. And to everyone else is good business and commerce, but to the Lord, it is the reason he is going to bring thermonuclear war on the planet. And nobody else realizes that because nobody cares except the Isupk. You understand? It says, and no man shall buy you. Old Quaker English. I'm going to go up to Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64. It says, and the Lord shall scatter thee, separate us. That's why you have Mexicans over there. You know, who are the tribe of Isupk, and El Salvadorians over there, and Guatemalans over there, the tribe of Zebulon, and Panamanians over here, and you got Colombians and Venezuelans over there, the tribe of Asher. Then you got the tribe of Argentina, the tribe of Naphtali, brothers and sisters down in Chile. You got Gadites on reservations. You understand? Native Americans. You got Seminoles, the tribe of Reuben, down there, down in Florida. You understand? We are scattered amongst all the nations. They did this and got rich, and the Lord is bringing them into World War III because nobody feels like they should have to pay for it. A sorry and an apology is not going to stop this. This is a judgment from the Most High. Everyone thought that they could ignore Noah prophesying that the Lord was going to bring rain and flood waters until the day it started to rain. And the Lord didn't give a damn about nobody's cries, nobody's prayers, nobody saying, oh, please, I'm sorry. The Lord ain't care about none of that. He didn't give a damn about none of that. That's why the Lord said, I sent my prophets early. And a lot of you have stood against the prophets of the Lord. You fought against the prophets of the Lord. You have foolishly put your hands on the prophets of the Lord. And the Lord is getting ready to send an angel around to collect from you and everyone else. All you evil monsters and you Christians to try to intimidate and threaten brothers and sisters to keep them from coming to serve the Most High. All of you evil dragons try to take a man's livelihood and his kids because he wants to stand with the Most High. And you evil monsters that have sex with sisters and throw them away because they decide to stop getting high and want to turn and change their life to serve the Most High. The Lord is getting ready to send a death angel through. Not to mention all you enemies that stood up to put your hands on the prophets of the Lord in Kansas City and anywhere else. That death angel is getting ready to come through before these wars we're getting ready to talk about, this civil war, the world war, the missile war. All of these things are prophesied in the Bible. But everyone feels that they can ignore it. The Lord ain't gonna care. You understand? That's why he sent his prophets that you're hearing now that most of our people have grown accustomed to ignoring and learn. You'll know why in that day. For you brothers and sisters who have humbled yourself to change your lives, to come up underneath of where the Lord commanded us to be. And a lot of brothers and sisters are confused. They don't know where to go. And you're so familiar with Christianity that when you see something that resembles Christianity and put a blanket on it pretending to be an Israelite, you can identify with it and you think it's the truth because you don't know better. That's why the Lord got laws and commandments in the Bible to put wizards and witches to death, and a drug dealer to death, and a scammer and a false prophet. They die in the Bible. But because of the grace and mercy of our King Jesus Christ, he's given us all a time to change our lives and come back to serve the Most High. but that time expires. It's not for me to say, but it is for the prophets that he sent to warn our people, as we have been doing, because you have put forth your hand against the prophets of God. And now the Lord is going to put forth his hand against you. You understand? And just like in Egypt, everyone is going to see it. Everyone is going to see your destruction. That's usually the last thing and the last straw that the Lord had before you attack the righteous, before he wipes you and your empire out. You understand? That was spiritual what happened in Kansas City. That was spiritual what happened. You think it's not. You don't understand because you might be too carnal and simple in your Christianity to realize that these things must come to pass so that the Lord can wake our people up before the day of judgment and destruction comes, man. All right. So this is what Joel is talking about in the 3rd chapter when he said, I'm going to bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. That's why you see all the tribes coming together. We've been separated everywhere, but now everybody is rushing towards America. You understand? It's been terrible in Central and South America and Mexico. Brothers and sisters, it's been terrible in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. But now more and more, the Lord is forcing our tribes to come together. That's why you got Zebulun and Naphtali down at the border with Levi. Zebulun, Naphtali, Levi, Asherites from Venezuela, brothers and sisters from Chile and Argentina down at the border in Mexico, right along with Levi down at the border in Mexico, and Isupk and Zebulun down at the border in Mexico. On the other side of that border, the Lord's chosen people, man. The rest of the Gadites, Reubenites, Judites, Benjamites, Commander General Yohanan is gathering the Lord's chosen people, and God is pushing us all together. You understand? God is pushing us together. All right? So the Lord is saying, I will bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. It says in Deuteronomy 28:64, the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. You understand? His brothers and sisters being abused and persecuted because the Judites and Benjamites and Ephraimites and Gadites went to war in the Philippines and in Manila and in Korea and Vietnam, and they went over there and because the Christian church has not taught our people God's laws, they went and had sex with the women over there and made babies. And those babies have made entire communities that are complete outcasts from the rest of their society and their people, like Naomi, Osaka. You understand? They can't stand black people over there unless it's a chance to get a dollar or a money-making opportunity. You are not a part of their world or their society. God created us to be separate, but because our nation has been destroyed and our oppressors have scattered us amongst all people, now here you are, a Haitian girl growing up in Japan. Stronger, bigger, better, more beautiful, more talented than all the rest of the people on the island, with the identity as a Japanese person. Like, this is what the Lord is talking about. We've been driven amongst all nations. You understand? So when it says from one end of the earth to the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods. This is why we got to get out of these religions, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. Wood, the God of wood, is talking about that Christian cross. That's Christianity. They pray in the wood. And the God of stone is talking about that Kaaba stone in Saudi Arabia, in Mecca, which is Allah, which every good Muslim is supposed to walk around, circle, and kiss the rock and stick your hand in the little hole. Because a piece of meteorite fell from space, God knows how many years ago. Now you're supposed to go there, and that's supposed to be your connection to God. None of that has anything to do with the Bible. Neither does Christianity, neither does Catholicism or any of the branches of Christianity. All of that is enemies to our people. All of those people and their customs have been used to oppress and murder and prostitute and kidnap and exploit and rob our people in our ignorance and our destroyed state. And God is bringing judgment on them for that. You understand? Verse 65 in Deuteronomy 28:65, it says, and among these nations, meaning amongst these other nations of people where we live in, thou shalt find no ease. That's why we under this oppression. That's why we strung out on drugs and killing each other in the street and our families are destroyed, and our communities are falling apart, and our organs is failing. Bad kidneys and hearts and brains and backs and bladders and breasts going bad and uterine problems. All of these things are results of stress and us being under captivity. This is what the Lord is talking about. He's bringing this up because there's a reason why this is happening. It's not just your fault. It's not just your father, your mother's fault. It is the fault of our oppressors, why this is happening. And it is why God is going to drag them into World War III so that they can lose their families. They can lose their sons and their daughters and their governments and their militaries, and they can feel and suffer the pain that we suffer every day. And that's not going to be the end of it. This is revealing what Christ came for. We read talking about and breaking down what is in Revelation. All of that, pray for America, clap your hands, everything going to be all right. It is going to be all right if you serve the Most High, if you understand what the Lord is doing, if you're in these classes to learn how to change your life so we can serve the Most High and be under his protection. Because without his protection, the traffic stop is dangerous, school is dangerous, church is dangerous, Walmart's dangerous, the grocery store is not safe, the nightclub ain't safe. We're not safe anywhere. You understand? But the Lord is getting ready to make it to where no one is going to be safe without his protection. You understand? So it says, amongst these nations we shall find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. That's why brothers and sisters working two slavery. How many brothers and sisters here is working more than one slave? Working more than one slave. 9 to 5, 6 to 10, a gig here, this job, a separate job, a third job, trying to make ends meet, reconnect broken ends and all of these things. This is what the Lord is talking about. But there's no reason for life to be this way. There's no reason. When COVID dropped, no one could go to work. And because no one could go to work, America did the wise thing that they could do at any point in time, which was issue checks out to make sure that everyone can be taken care of. They could do it if they wanted to. They could do it. They could do it because they have billions of dollars to give to their aid. Billions of dollars. You damn right. Me, everybody. Billions of dollars of aid that they can give for everybody. They can give money to Israel and India and Palestine, and then money for Ukraine and money for Russia before Russia was acting up, and money to do business with China and aid to OPEC and all of the NATO allies. They can send wealth wherever they choose, but they create a condition so that our people can remain under oppression. And God is going to drag them into World War III so that they can pay for what they have done. You understand? Like the Lord said, we shall have no rest for the sole of thy foot. But the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night. That's why brothers are sitting there catching all kinds of charges. Afraid you can't pay your bills. Afraid what's going to happen to your children. Afraid your woman gonna leave. Afraid of every damn thing. They artificially create debt. Unnecessary. Tax. Unnecessary. You're not being represented. That's why we're getting killed at traffic stops. That's why we're sitting in dog cages. You understand? Living on top of each other in these cities. We're not even really living life the way that God created life. A lot of brothers and sisters is frustrated and everything. Just understand this. When we are living here in America and all of these other places, we are in captivity. This is not life. You hearing your neighbors arguing is not life. Your neighbor's kids over top of you dropping toys and yelling and fussing, that's not life. You having to work, if you're a woman and you on your cycle, you're not supposed to be at work. You're supposed to have a time and a period where you can be set aside so that your body can just deal with itself and clean and bleed in peace without having to work at a goddamn 2 and 3 jobs and handle all of these other responsibilities. You raising kids by yourself is not life. You trying to find how you going to eat, paying for a place to stay, that is not life. This is captivity. You are born with a place because your father's father's father has an inheritance that God gave every race of people on the planet. Because we're in captivity, another race of people have stolen our inheritance, and now we pay our oppressors for a place to live. and a house and rent and mortgage and homeowners associations. All of these things, this is slavery. This is not life. This is not freedom. No one is supposed to be giving their kids away for 15, 10 hours a day for strangers to raise your kids. That's not life. That's not how God set life up. You understand? All of this is captivity. You're not supposed to look at your brothers and sisters as competition or enemies. You understand? All of this is captivity. But it does take war to build the nation. We're going to get into it if we got time. We're going to speed up a little bit. All right? Like this is what the Lord is bringing. This is what the Lord is called. All of these evil things that have come upon our people, this is what the Lord is talking about and why he's bringing everyone into this third world's war. Deuteronomy chapter 28, you understand? And verse 49, 48. It says, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee. In hunger, we want food, we have to go to another nation of people. If I want food, I'm not supposed to have to go to a Chinese man or an Arab or an East Indian or an African or a Korean. If I want food, I'm supposed to be able to go to Mataza Aquara and get bulls and goats from him. If I want food, I'm supposed to be able to go to Officer Yagadar because he's got goats. If you want food, you're supposed to be able to come to me because I have hundreds of hens. I have turkeys. I have hens. If I want greens, we're supposed to be able to get our greens from Anna. We're supposed to be able to get our food and meat and wine and honey from the bees that this brother or this sister raises. We are not supposed to be dependent on another nation of people for anything. That is not how God made life. This is captivity. You understand? This is captivity. Food is something you need to live so that you don't die. You understand? The rich are supposed to have food ready for the poor. That's the purpose for God making you rich. There's supposed to be acres and acres of farmlands so that brothers and sisters who are poor can come and get acres and acres of your farmland so that we're not dependent on Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Barack Obama or some child molester who wants to pass a bill to allow pedophiles to have sex with kids so that he can run for office before he passes a bill to give you enough crumbs to fill up your refrigerator. You understand? Like this is not life. This is captivity that we are living in. And the Lord said we would serve our enemies. And salvation that Christ is bringing is to deliver us from our enemies so that we don't have to go to them for food and in thirst. Water, the planet is covered in water. We are not supposed to have to pay someone for water. That is slavery. You understand? You paying a bill for water, you buying water out of the store, that is slavery. You can't collect water if you want to without permission from the state or the city. That is slavery. That's against God. And in nakedness, if you want clothes, we're not supposed to have to go to another race of people. To Versace and Balenciaga and Fruit of the Loom and Hanes and you understand, and whoever else is making clothes. We are not supposed to go to Dockers and Wrangler and Levi's and all of them. We're not supposed to go to another nation of people. The fact that we are is because we are in slavery. And God is bringing World War III to deliver us from slavery. That's why the Lord is saying, if you are a friend of this world, you are an enemy to him, because the Lord is getting ready to destroy this age of society. And in want of all things, anything you want, we have to go to another nation of people. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. They physically put one on our neck when we in slavery. There's 2 million blacks and Hispanics in prison right now with a yoke of iron literally on them until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. The people who thought the earth was flat, our oppressor, the conquistadors, the Caucasian, the European, from Spain and French and Italy and Portugal, and you understand, and Germany and the Netherlands, all right, and England and Wales and Scotland and Ireland. The Lord sent our enemies against us. From the end of the earth, it says the end of the earth because they thought the earth was flat. You understand? As swift as the eagle flyeth. That's why all of their symbols is the eagle. The Nazi symbol was the eagle. The Russian symbol is the eagle. America, Rome, the eagle. The French symbol, the German symbol. All of their symbols has always been the eagle. From the Spanish Armada, the Portuguese conquistadors, the Bible is describing who our chief enemy is that is responsible for the majority of the oppression that our people are under. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance. They have a hardened face towards us, which shall not regard the person of the old. They don't care if you're an old man or old woman. They'll break in your house like they did Alberta Spruill and kill her in our house, bust her upside the head with a shotgun, nor show favor to the young. They'll stalk and murder Trayvon Martin. They'll show up and execute Tamir Rice. They'll kill young Hispanic brothers and sisters on the border. You understand? Like the young 8-year-old sister that died in INS custody after they steal and take the babies away from their kids. They don't have favor or mercy. They'll separate a baby from his mother, from his father, a woman from their husband. Tell a woman to kill her baby so that she can have a productive life in society. Like, these are a people that are animals. And that is why God is bringing them to the slaughter. You understand? As it says in the Bible. In 51, it says, and he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle. They starved the plains, the Gadites in the plains. They call them the Plains Indians. They slaughtered all the buffalo to starve them to death. All of the fruit of the land. The brothers and sisters can't eat the fruit of their land. The fruit that belongs to the brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico and in Guatemala and El Salvador and Honduras and in Costa Rica, that fruit belongs to rich white men in Congress. The Dole Fruit Company. That's why they started those civil wars. The CIA started civil wars in the 50s and the 60s to destabilize all of Central America. That's why you got brothers and sisters leaving the tropics from Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador and Costa Rica and Nicaragua running up to America for their lives, because the CIA started those wars to destabilize, to steal their fruit, to steal their land. They aren't allowed to fish, but they live in the tropics. They can't eat the fruit and grow their fruit on their own land and live and survive because it belongs to congressmen. It belongs to senators. It belongs to President Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld. This is what the Lord is talking about. They shall eat the fruit of thy land, starving brothers and sisters to death. And it is for no reason. There is no reason at all to do this to our people. They have more than enough wealth that them nor the future generations of their offspring could ever spend the amount of wealth that they have amassed here in America. Their own greed is the reason that they are destroying their empire. Their own greed and corruption is destroying them. They don't even realize. But it's all by the hand of the Most High, and it's beautiful in the Lord's sight. You understand? So when it says, until ye have destroyed, until thou be destroyed, the purpose is not for trade. It's not for commerce. It's not to prop up the economy. It's not because it's what America needs. The sole purpose for them doing this is to destroy our people. That is the only reason. Which also shall not leave thee either corn or wine or oil. How many people ever heard of tequila? How many people heard of tequila? Y'all know what tequila is? Just give me a one. Let me know. Give me a con or a one if you heard of tequila before. Whatever your tequila is. That agave nectar, that nice tequila, whatever tequila you like, the Jose Cuervo, your Casamigos, your Patron, whatever tequila you like. Let me know if you've ever heard of tequila before. Just give me a real quick. Your Ciroc, whatever you like. How many people ever heard of tequila before? Y'all heard of tequila? Y'all know about that tequila, huh? Most High in Christ. You know that tequila, I found out, was a poor man's way, because we were always brewers. We always made our own drinks, our own wine, our own liquor, our own beers in Israel. That's one of the things that we did. Christ's first miracle was turning water into wine. All of our 12 tribes, we've always done this. Not the Irish, not the Italians, not the Dutch, not Heineken. This has always been Israelite custom to make our own alcoholic beverages. And our wines, our strongs, our spirits is called strong drinks and liquor in the Bible. You understand? The brothers and sisters in Mexico, the farmers, They farmed a plant called the agave plant. And this plant that they've used for many, many years and centuries to make this drink that we know today as tequila. And once our oppressor found out about this tequila, like when he finds out about anything, he comes, makes sure he buys it, steals it, gets the rights to it. So now something that has been your custom to do forever, that fathers and uncles would pass down to their sons and nephews and future generations, something that would bring you great wealth if you controlled it. Well, they take it, patent it, steal it, buy up the rights to it in the land, and now you can't make money from your ancient family tradition that is literally your custom. Same thing with Jack Daniels. Jack Daniels learned how to make that whiskey, that sour mash whiskey. Jack Daniels learned that from an ex-slave. He wasn't a slave when he learned it, but he learned it from an ex-slave called Nathan Green, named Uncle Nearest, they named him. And he taught Jack Daniels how to make that whiskey formula that he is world known for today. That name is because of a brother. You understand? They capitalize it, steal it, buy up the land, buy up the rights to the crop. So now you can't sell your own family custom because he owns the copyright for it. He patented it. It's yours. It's your land. Well, he'll start a war. So everybody runs for their life. Once he instigates a war between this side and that side, gives both sides guns, let the war get out of control for a couple of years, talk about how terrible it is. Next thing you know, the property is for pennies on the dollar. He comes in, buys everything. You understand? And then everybody looks at him like he's the hero. Meanwhile, he's the cause of all of the problems. Corn. Corn is the chief export for Central America and for Mexico. They won't allow them to sell and trade corn because U.S. farmers sell and trade corn. But they can sell the corn that they have if they own it to America. But if they want it, they got to pay an extra tax. Same thing in Puerto Rico. They got the Jones Act of the tribe of Ephraim. Our oppressor passed a law to make the food that grows on a tropical island more expensive, not only for you to sell and have a business, but for you to eat and live off of on your own goddamn island. This is what our oppressor does. This is what they do. When the Bible says the mark of the beast, when it talks about that he put a mark that no man might buy, sell, or trade, it's not talking about putting a microchip in your hand or your forehead. Their white supremacy, democratic, Western, Caucasian way of life is the mark of the beast. All of that together is just Christianity, so that they can institute their law and their will to starve everyone to death if you don't bend over backwards and say, thank you, sir, can I have another? Like, this is why the Lord is going to destroy them in thermonuclear war. There's no way to get free from this. You understand? They don't have a conscience about what they're doing to anyone. They don't have the ability to have a conscience on a whole. That is why God has to step in. You understand? So when the Bible, where we at? 52, are we doing good? When the Bible is talking about these things, they won't leave you corn, not to eat or sell. Wine, you can't wine. They own your wine. They own your grapes, your vineyard, your agave, your tequila, your everything, your fruits, your vegetables, or oil, or the increase of thy kind. K-I-N-E is talking about bovine animals. Bovine is a cow, a cattle, an oxen. That's how you run a farm. That's where you get your burgers. They say America runs on Dunkin'. America runs on beef and chicken. That's what it runs on. Sugar cane to put in your coffee. The coffee beans from Colombia and Mexico and Guatemala and Costa Rica and Bolivia. Other crops that America has starved brothers and sisters to death so that they cannot make a good living because all of the wealth and the money belongs to oppressors. You understand? There's an actual foot standing on the backs and the necks of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It is not because you're not working hard enough. It's not because you're not smart enough. It's not because you don't apply yourself enough, like those disgusting Christians teach you to repeat evil words against your own people, echoing what our oppressor, who is the devil that the Bible speaks of, says. There is a foot that is standing on our people's back and necks. Your children feel it. Your unborn babies feel it. That's why they're getting murdered before they can come out your box. That's what Planned Parenthood is about. That is the foot that is on our necks from the old. That's why you got grandmas going back to work. I got rung up today at the grocery store by some 60-year-old sister. Why the hell is she 60 years old still working at the damn grocery store? She's supposed to be on the porch or in her garden with her vegetables and grandkids and a dog or a cat with her husband, talking about how the wonderful years of life they had together. Instead, grandma and a bunch of grandmas is working on their feet for 8-hour shifts at the grocery store. Why can't she comfortably be at home and retire like she's supposed to? Because there is a foot on our people's neck. From the seniors, from the elders, the extreme age, the teenagers, the children, the 20s, the 40s, the babies, the unborns, the sodomites is trying to get to the babies in kindergarten, all the way to the damn embryo, to the baby being developed inside his mother's womb right now. There is a foot that is on the necks of our people. You understand? And salvation is to get their foot off of our neck. There's the only way we get salvation is if the Lord destroys them and put them in chains. This is the gospel message. You understand? All right. And when the Lord says the increase of thy kind, the cowboys were black men, were Gadites, were Native Americans, were Mexicans. The cattle that our oppressors own today to sell you beef in the grocery store and the supermarket, that cattle does not come from Europe where they come from. You understand? They were eating pork in Europe because they barely had any food. If you go look at the stories, if you go look at the TV shows, talking about all of their royalty in Greece and Rome and all of those noble lords in England and all of those things, listen to what they were eating. Listen to what they were eating out there in Europe. They're eating pork. They're eating cheese. They're eating milk and pork. That was their diet. You understand? They didn't have anything. They didn't know how to be empowered and charged. That's why as soon as they took over rulership from black people, all they did was destroy, oppress, and eventually they all ended up at each other's throats, and they all had to leave to go and find other people to subjugate because they had damn near killed all of themselves at the fall of the Roman Empire after they broke up. And then they traveled and they oppressed and murdered everybody, from Napoleon Bonaparte to Adolf Hitler to the Spanish Armada to the conquistadors, the Jesuits, the Rosicrucians, the Pilgrims, the settlers, the colonists, the Italian explorers. Everywhere they went, they destroyed, pillaged, raped, robbed, and subjugated everyone. And this is why the Lord is dragging them into World War III, so that the world can finally live life. The animals won't have to go on the endangered species list. The dolphins can live where they're supposed to. The polar bear won't be in the zoo. The goddamn penguins won't be in the Bronx. Everyone can go back to where they are rightfully supposed to be once God sends Christ back to put them in chains. That is salvation. And this, Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh Shai, is what is leading up to and why that third world war is coming, man. Mosai and Christ. But what I was saying about the scripture, the cattle was stolen. It was stolen from the brothers and sisters. It was murdered from the Gadite tribes. They stole it. That's how they own it today. That's how Purdue and everyone else is able to sell you all of these items, not because they brought it from Europe. It was here. Only thing they brought from Europe was pigs, diseases, oppressors, and rats. That's what they brought from Europe because that's all they had. You understand? That's why they traveled and stole everything. And then their own people wouldn't move back to Europe because this place was so much better than where they left. You understand? So this is what the scripture is talking about, or flocks of thy sheep until he have destroyed thee. That's why we don't have any sheep and any cattle, because that's what you would need to be self-sufficient. That's why they took the land and the sheep, and then they pass a law so that you can't own it. And then they pass a law so you need permission from them so that they can deny you and hoard the wealth for themselves. This is what the Lord is talking about. So now, that's enough of the Deuteronomy. So now we're going to go back to Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. It says, for behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. And make no mistake, without the Isupk, no one would even care about what's happening to our people. No one would care about the murder of Joyce Morgan by the IUIC. No one would care that they allowed some African to beat and murder and rape her because they don't know they're not who God appointed. You understand? No one would care about them robbing and telling brothers that they can have sex with another man's wife, or some sister that she can leave her man to go have sex with multiple brothers. You understand? That's against God. The Lord put our people to death for that evil, and the death angel is coming. I cannot stress this enough. You understand? It's not what I'm saying, it's what the Lord is saying. All right. Verse 2, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat. That's that land in the Middle East, all the way from Saudi Arabia to Turkey, all the way down to Iran, all the way down to Iraq, all the way down to Afghanistan, all the way through Pakistan, Lebanon, Jordan, Yemen. All of that land belongs to the children of Israel. None of them belong in our land. All of that wealth and that oil money and that gold and that land that they've been fighting over, that land belongs to us. If you don't know, the Old Testament is filled with wars. And it's full of wars because our enemies have always been fighting to get our land. That's why it's so much war. That's why King David was fighting war for 40 years against the Philistines. That's why we had war against Cush, where the brothers had to kill 900,000 Ethiopians in one day. You understand? Because they wanted our land. Because they needed to subjugate our people so that they can build themselves Egypt and America and Assyria and Rome and Greece. They needed to subjugate our people in order to have it, because that's how you build a great empire. You understand? So when it says, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. Everybody thinks they fighting in World War III because of their own thing. They think they just in there fighting for their own reason. They got this beef here and this beef there. That's why they think they're fighting. But really, God is causing them to fight. God is stirring this up. You understand? Russia had not directly been involved in any military conflict or campaign for years. They had been fighting proxy wars since Afghanistan. You understand? But now the Lord has forced them to move that hand against the Ukraine. The Lord is forcing that. Just like the Lord is going to force China to come up against Taiwan. That's why Japan is trying to join NATO now. You understand? Like God is doing these things. And it said, I will plead for my heritage, Israel. Nobody cares about the Lord's heritage. They don't want to hear it. They want to stop us from talking about we are blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans are God's chosen people. They don't want to hear it. Well, they'll listen when they lose millions of their sons and daughters to World War III. They'll be more susceptible to hear it then. You understand? When missiles have destroyed their downtown, then they'll listen more. They'll care more. Nobody cares about, Venezuelans and Mexicans being put in dog cages, being abused and told to drink out of the toilet bowl by immigration customs enforcement. Senators stand up there and talk about how they shouldn't come here. They shouldn't do this. And this is what happens to them. That's what Kamala Harris said. Well, they'll care more once God sends another COVID. Once God sends another COVID, they'll care more. You understand? Whom they have scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. All right. So let's get some more. Verse 5. We in Joel chapter 3, verse 5. It says, because you've taken my silver and my gold. All of that wealth that they have, they stole from us. Those things belong to the Lord. Our wealth, our silver and gold, they took a ton of it from Saddam Hussein when they killed him and raided his palace. That was our gold. That land belongs to us. They took it, put it in their banks. All the wealth that they stole from Afghanistan, that wealth, parts of Afghanistan belongs to us. Now, of course, the Arabs and the East Indians, You understand? Depending on how they migrated there, all of them been living on our land for hundreds of years. But the Lord is going to fix all of that. Everybody's going to be sucked into the valley of Jehoshaphat. This is what the Bible is talking about. You understand? And he's saying, and the Lord is saying, they've taken my silver and my gold and have carried into your temples my good and pleasant things. The Vatican has our records. They have our things. They're all in Europe, all in Britain, all in their museums. The Lord is going to punish them for doing it. That's why if you come to our camp and you come to threaten and intimidate the men of the Lord and you try to take or move a chair, that's the Lord's chair you try to move. Those purple sodomites tried to move God's chair from off of that corner in Kansas City. That wasn't no chair. That was the Lord's good and pleasant things that he sent his prophets out to wake up his chosen people. And some disgusting, homosexual, purple sodomite-driven group thought that they could pump the prophets of God on the corners of the street. The Lord is going to bring such a pain and vengeance on those evil, wicked bastards for what they did. And God said this about Pharaoh: for this purpose have I raised thee up, that I could show my strength in thee. God raised up Pharaoh in Egypt to the point where it was undeniable. You could not help but see Egypt because of how wealthy and how rich and how powerful they had gotten while they had destroyed the Lord's chosen people. They murdered us and threw our babies in the river. They told sisters to kill their own babies so that they could be better productive citizens in Egypt, just like America teaches sisters to abort their babies so that they can have a wonderful life and a good career and education in America. And God allowed them with all of their power and their pride and their arrogancy and their strength so that everyone could see them right before the Lord wiped Egypt out. And that is what is getting ready to happen to you. That is what is getting ready to happen. If you love the Most High, if you value your life, if you want to serve the Most High, you had better get out of the Israelite United in Christ. God is getting ready to fall on your entire organization, and it won't be by our hands. That evil that your wicked homosexual leaders did, God is going to answer you for that evil. Nobody can stop God from answering. The Lord is going to answer. You understand? God is going to free our people from you wicked homosexual Christian pastors that have galvanized our people, stolen their resources, taken their young men and young women and all of everything needed to deliver our people. The Lord is fed up with this. For too long, the Lord is absolutely fed up with this, and he is going to answer. You understand? All right? Like, that's what the Lord is talking about. This World War III in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, where the Lord has said the children of Judah and the children of Israel, they've been moved from their borders, man. The Lord said he's going to raise them up in their own place and drag the rest of the nations, man, into this. Let's get some more on this, man. Take me to 1 Peter. We're going to go now to 1 Peter, all right, chapter 4. You understand? 1 Peter chapter 4. All right, and let's go to verse 14. 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 13. All right, it says, but rejoice, inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy, man. If ye be reproached or hated for the name of Christ, for standing for Christ's reputation, for saying that our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. If you be hated and reproached, you understand, and attacked and targeted for standing with the Most High, happy are ye, for the spirit of glory and of the Most High resteth upon you, man. For that Kentucky, you understand, that Kansas City for the spirit and the glory of the Most High rest upon those brothers, man. Captain DeGalgabar, Officer Malak, Officer Elijah Shine, and young brother, man, young man Jay, man. The spirit and glory of the Most High rest on brothers that stood for the gospel of the Most High, man. The spirit of the Lord resteth upon you, and their part he is evil spoken of, but on your part he is glorified, man. but let none of you suffer as a murderer or a thief. It's time for brothers to stop being murderers and thieves, man. All of that time is over. It's time to throw away that life of being a criminal and a murderer and a thief. Give that life up, man. Time to come into the Isupk to serve the Most High, because now it's time to rebuild our nation. It's time to fix our people. You understand? Because the Lord is getting ready to end this world's empire, man. That's what the Lord is talking about. All right? He said, if any man suffer as a thief or an evildoer or as a busybody in another man's matter, that's a busybody. You telling a man he can't have another woman, you's a busybody. You understand? Should be concerned about sending the pictures of another man's rod to all of your leadership. That's what's going on with the purple sodomites. You understand? I don't understand. We hardcore in the Isupk. You understand? You better watch it. You keep going somewhere else thinking you're going to learn about God outside of the Isupk. You're going to find out a horrible secret. You're going to find out a horrible secret that you're going to wish you had not learned on your own. You're going to wish you had learned from the prophets of God, man. It's all manner of evil and child molestation and robbing and raping and all kind of homosexuality and scamming and things going on outside of the house of the Lord. Because God is not there to defend, to clean it, to protect it, and to raise our people up. The Lord did not appoint anybody else. You understand? And the Lord said, let none of you suffer. Yet, if any man suffer as a follower of Christ, which is what a Christian is, even though we are not Christians, and that word Christian has a terrible connotation because of the Christian church. What it's talking about is as a follower of Christ, a disciple of Christ, let him not be ashamed. Don't be ashamed if they hate you for serving the Most High because you don't celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and they do. Teach your sons and daughters to not be ashamed that all the other kids are getting birthday cakes and Halloween candy and Valentine's Day cards and they don't, man. You some young brother, some young sister, man, you be proud that you don't celebrate with the people in the world, the other kids and children celebrate. Some birthday, Thanksgiving and Christmas and Mother's Day and Father's Day and Easter egg hunts, all of those things, man. You stand with the Most High and the Lord will stand with you in your kindergarten class, in your daycare, in your first grade, in your middle school, in your high school, in your slavery, man. You stand with the Lord because now a time is coming that the Lord won't be with anyone except those who stood with him. And that time is coming. And the Lord said it's going to be such a dark time that no one is going to be able to see their way out of it, except those who've been where the Lord appointed them to be so that they can learn in advance and not be afraid when the destruction of the Most High comes on this empire and to punish sinners for what they have been doing, man. So it says, let him be not ashamed, but let him glorify the Most High on his behalf. He's strong in that, man. For time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. The judgment the Lord is pouring out is coming on the house of the Lord. You understand? And if it begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? You understand? That's what the Lord is saying. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, what shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? It's a lot. You understand? Wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of the Most High commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing, as unto a faithful creator, man. Make sure you continue in what you've been taught in here, continue in your protocols, continue following those orders. Every order that you get, make sure you following those orders, man. Make sure that you in communication with your camp. Don't sit and just watch classes online. Make sure you contact the Isupk school in whatever city and state that you are in and get all the way locked in. All the way locked in. Get into the habit of reporting to whoever's in charge in your zone. Get into the classes. Get into the Lord's high holy days. Contact the school. Get all the way in. You brothers coming up in the truth, get in your all black. Be diligent. Make your check-ins. Call. Do whatever orders and things that you get and whatever you are taught. Make sure that you are following and keeping them, because the Lord is getting ready to send an evil through that has never, ever been seen on the entire planet Earth. You understand? And the Lord sent his prophets to prepare his people for it, man. That's what's going on. All right. Ezekiel chapter 35. We're going to get some more, man. Ezekiel chapter 35. All right. And we're going to start at verse 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. Mount Seir, S-E-I-R, that's the land of Edom. Talking about the so-called Edomites, our oppressor, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Most High Power, Behold, O Mount Seir, look, children of Edom, I am against thee. God said he is against our oppressor, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste. The Lord is saying he is going to waste our oppressor's cities. And thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Most High. I'm the power. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel. They shed the blood of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of our suffering, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Time for us to come out of the punishment, come out of these punishments and curses that we under, because our punishment time is over. We've been in captivity 400 years. You understand? Therefore, as I live, the Lord said, I put this on myself. That's what he's talking about. That's black man talk. Brothers say, man, I put that on the dead homies. I put that on the hood. That's on my mama, on my grandma. That's black man talk. If you didn't know, that's why brothers say it. Now, don't say it. Don't keep saying it. You understand? You don't talk like that. But that's what you'll hear brothers say in the world. Now, I put that on. That's on my man. That's on my homie. That's on my daughter. That's on my kids. On the dead homies. That's on the set. That's on the neighborhood. The Lord is saying. That's in the Bible. That's why the Lord said, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God. I put that on myself. I will prepare thee unto blood. The Lord is saying, I'm preparing them unto blood. That's why you're not supposed to marry them. You ain't supposed to get in their bed. You're not supposed to be in their political movements. You ain't supposed to join their Let's All Hold Hands Rainbow Coalition. You're not supposed to be compromising, you understand, here and there. You're supposed to stand with the Most High. We're not talking about doing violence. We're not talking about attacking anyone. We are talking about standing with the Most High and not compromising the truth. Not compromising, man. Keeping his laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And getting in the truth. Getting in the Isupk so that you can start your work in the service of the Most High. You understand? The Lord said, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. They can't stop those mass shootings. They can remove the pistol brace and make that illegal. They can outlaw the AR-15. They can outlaw the high-capacity magazines. You understand? There was murders in the 20s and the 30s. They were doing executions. The mafia was doing hits all day, every day with 38 specials. 5-shot 38 specials, 357 magnums, 32 revolvers, Harrington and Richardson, 32 calibers. You understand? 4 shots, 5 shots, Derringers, 2-shot Derringers. You understand? The AR-15 is not the problem. God is causing this to happen, man. God is causing this evil to happen because everyone dismissed the Lord. And by dismiss the Lord, I mean they ignored his prophets. Nobody wanted to hear what the prophets had to say. So then the Lord sent the death angel through. Nothing else worked. You understand? And the Bible said, "In blood shall pursue thee. Sith thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee." You understand? This is what the Lord is saying. In verse 8, he said, I will fill his mountains with slain men, in thy hills, in thy valleys, in thy all thy rivers, and they shall fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am the power. You understand? Like that's what the Lord is talking about. That's why no land belongs to our oppressors. That's why they had to steal Europe. And they had to send the Spanish Armada to steal the Philippines and go and steal Hawaii and invade them and go into Africa and institute apartheid. The British had to invade India and go and invade China and flood opium and turn the Chinese into opium addicts. They had to go and do this everywhere and invade Europe. They come from the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. That's what the word Caucasian means. The Lord chased them up into the mountains so that no land belongs to our oppressor. That's why everywhere they go, they destroy it. They poison the water. They put animals from where they belong and put them somewhere else. They poison the air. They dump trash in outer space, bust a hole in the ozone layer. You understand? They poison the jungle, cut down the rivers and lakes and rivers. You understand? They destroy everywhere they go. This is why the Lord is bringing captivity. You understand? So that everything can be set back in their proper order. All right? So let's get some more. Like, this is what the Lord is talking about. All right? So now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 14, and we're going to start at verse 1. We're going to move through this. Isaiah 14 and 1. He says, officer, make sure that you get that attendance. Make sure you're taking the attendance down and you keeping that attendance sheet updated and right and proper, all right? Everybody you in class, make sure you sign in for attendance. Everybody, wherever you are, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're watching, sign in for attendance so that the officer can get the attendance, all right? Isaiah 14 and 1 says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them. We went over this last week. The other nations will be joined with us, but not how you think. They're not going to be in rainbow coalition. Your interracial marriages, ain't going to be no interracial marriages in that day. Everybody going into captivity that's not an Israelite. And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them, shall own them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, prisoners, servants, slaves, whose captives they were. We were their prisoners right now, and now they are going to be our captives. This is the salvation. This is the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is the summary of everything the Bible is talking about. And they shall rule over their oppressors. The same people that rule over us now, that oppress us, we are going to rule them all of them. You understand? And it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. That's the only way we get rest from this sorrow. That's the only way you don't need 2 jobs to survive in Norfolk and Richmond and Petersburg and Chesapeake and Newport News. That's the only way you will get to raise your kids. You won't get to raise your kids. You can't. How can you? You work 2 damn jobs. The kids got to go to school to strangers for 10 hours a day. How can you raise the kids if 5 days a week the kids are going to strangers? You understand? That's the only way you'll get rest from thy fear, from being killed at a traffic stop or gunned down at the grocery store. You understand? Or hunted or starving because your oppressor stole all the fruit and the rights to the fish and the corn and the agave and the tequila and all of your family history and your music and all of your inventions. They stole it all so that you don't have anything to live on. You don't have to be afraid anymore because the man that would do that to you, Christ is going to put him in chains. He's going to live in a cage. He's going to work in a cotton field and pick cotton and cut sugar cane and sweep streets and paint houses and work on construction sites. He's going to be on the chain gang. You understand? He's going to pick the fruits and vegetables so that Mexicans will eat and live. He's going to wash, you understand, clean the troughs for the horses and the cow and the cattle and the donkey and the sheep. He's going to be put to work, you understand? All right, hey, shalom. Yo, sure, break it up. The Lord is going to cause these things to happen, and this is how we get salvation. You understand? From thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. They got brothers and sisters in prison right now breaking rocks. 2023, they got chain gangs in the Deep South. From your hard bondage and your slavery. Brothers trying to give up being a drug dealer, that America got detectives that's forcing brothers and sisters to continue to sell drugs when they don't want to. You can go and look up right now on YouTube. You'll see St. Louis detectives, Midwest detectives, they forcing brothers and sisters. Now, granted, it's brothers and sisters that are selling drugs and they should not. But it's also brothers and sisters that don't want to sell drugs. And they forcing them to continue to sell drugs when they don't want to. They just busted a Kansas City detective that was running a prostitution ring with underage children and little girls, all black, because our nation is destroyed. Because we got silly politician church leaders instead of the army of God taking over control of everything, where every black, Hispanic, and Native American is supposed to be under the protection and the authority of Commanding General Yohana. We won't have any missing sons and daughters. We won't be in their child protective services. We won't need them for anything. They give us our own and set us up to we be self-sufficient. We'll be exactly how Rosewood was, Black Wall Street, Harlem, Baltimore, Detroit, Washington, D.C. We were completely self-sufficient a few years coming out of slavery. So much so that they traveled all around the country and bombed our cities and towns, flooded them, destroyed them, lynched and hung our business owners and entire families from trees, because we will be perfect without them. And they know it. And that is why God has to send Christ to wipe them out and put them in chains, because you will never be free to live life. You'll never be free. Hell, rich doctors travel to Africa to shoot lions and elephants just because of it's fun, so that they can do taxidermy and stuff their body and put their head on a wall. Nothing can be free with this animal on the loose. You understand? The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. God called him the devil for this reason. And the Lord is saying that we're going to have rest in that day, because our oppressor will no longer have power. He won't have a government. He won't have a military. He won't have a church. He won't have a Senate. And he won't have blacks and Hispanics to kiss up to him and hug him and love him and empower him and fight for him and build him up and make him strong. Because all of that is going to be burned up in the Third World War. You understand? So when the Lord is talking about verse 4, thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. The king of Babylon, Babylon is talking about America, where all nations of people come together. Everybody has the same title. They all got the same mindset: capitalism, democracy, Christianity. You understand? All of that is this oppressor, man. All of that is Babylon. All nations of people are not supposed to be together. God has been against that since the very beginning, but Babylon has always been for them. So that's what it's talking about. You understand? Thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressor ceased? Babylon is fallen. Babylon is fallen to rise no more. The golden city ceased. The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked. The staff of the wicked is that Christian church, man. That democracy, that Senate, that House, all of those evil things that pass through his policy. He calls witchcraft to prosper. That Christian church, you understand, all of the evil things that teach our people that we don't have to serve the Most High. That there's another and an alternative way to live. There's an alternative way to understand the Bible. You can choose your own leaders. Everybody can believe God however they want to. You understand? All of that division and things that our oppressors use to destroy us. All of that's going to be wiped out. The golden city have ceased. Why? It's not going to be the golden city anymore. You understand? We're not advocating violence. We're not doing any violence, but we will defend ourselves. You understand? We'll defend ourselves, and we will defend the gospel of the Most High in Christ. You understand? The Lord have broken the staff of the wicked, their economy. That dollar is getting broken. That's a strong thing. They use the power of that dollar to bully everybody across the planet. That's why they're coming up with the BRICS, so that they can pool resources from China and Korea and Brazil and Russia, because they tired of America starving everybody to death. So they say, fine, we're going to pool our resources. And because that dollar ain't worth a damn no more, now the Chinese money is the new top currency. The Chinese money is going to be worth more, because all of America's debts, you're so greedy, you sold your debt to China. And because China owns your debt, you're raising the debt ceiling with artificial money. This place is being held together by smoke and mirrors. America's over. You understand? This is a fantasy. You understand? And the scepter, the power of the rulers has been broken. You know why? Because the Lord is going to break our oppressors' military. They're getting ready to get sucked into war with China. They're getting ready to get sucked into war with Korea. Going to get sucked into war with Turkey. Going to get sucked into war with Russia. and they are going to die. They're going to die in a way that you have never seen death before. They are going to die. They're going to lose their sons. They're going to lose their daughters. They're going to lose their strong men, their mighty men. They are going to lose it. You understand? You understand? What you say? Something about StreamYard? What you say? I don't see. Hold on one second. Could you see? No, there's no lie. I don't see nobody. There's nobody here but me. Let me see. Bear with me just a second. No, it's nobody here but me, brother. It's nothing here but me. I don't see anybody. It's just me. Lie. It's nothing here but me. Nothing popped up. It's just me. All right. The link is in there. All right. So that's what the Lord is saying. The Lord is going to cause this. Why is he going to break the rulers? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. They wipe out your economy. They tell your woman to turn against you. They give her government housing. Then they put lead paint in your houses. They put asbestos in your houses, making your kids sick. They put lead pipes to give you your water. The National Highway Act, America did and built highways all across America to cut up thriving black communities and wiped out their economies. They did it in Detroit. They did it everywhere. They put a highway in the middle of your city to separate your people, to separate us. Then they flood our communities with drugs. They wipe out our economy. The black movements that were not following the God and getting in the Isupk, they put government agents in there to spy, to investigate, to destroy it. And next thing you know, we following Martin Luther King and Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson. Our businesses are gone. We don't own our own communities. Our neighborhoods are gone. Our farms are gone. We losing everything. They pass laws to put you in jail now that they make you a criminal because they starving you to death. Then they give you money to promote being a murderer and a killer like they're Italian gangsters. Then they take over your music. They take over your music that was about love and making babies and having a family. Now all of a sudden it's about turning your woman into a whore, have her sliding down the stripper pole. You understand? Like they oppress our people continually. You understand? They rob you. They force you to speak Spanish, force you to speak French, force you to speak English, change your name, force you into Christianity, force you into Islam. Then they poison you. They kill you. They hire death squads. They start civil wars in the middle of your country to force you to leave. They steal your fruit. You can't farm your own damn land. Then they force you to flee from the violence that they created. You get to the border. They say, come and give us your tired, huddled masses. They work you to death. They call you a criminal, a rapist, an illegal immigrant, put you in dog cages, rape your women in the INS detention center, and deport them back to their own country. A continual stroke, never ending. Slavery, racism, trailer tears, police brutality, 77 million, smallpox, crack cocaine, heroin, mass incarceration, police violence, continually beating and whipping on our people. That is why the Lord is going to take all of our oppressed sons and daughters away, who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger with predator drones and armies and navies and air force and marines and Hiroshima and Nagasaki, helium bombs, gas bombs, putting glycerin in their water, devastating their cities, bombing everybody to death, killing and napalming everybody all throughout the planet, continually is persecuted and none hindered. The whole earth is finally at rest now that our oppressor is in a cage, now that he's in chains, that he's not free anymore, to give child molesters rights to go and be around children, that they can pretend that a man can pretend that he's a woman and then go and be a woman wearing a G-string and lipstick to go and teach the little boys and girls and then demand that you not say anything about it, while a child molester pretends to take a new identity and go and teach kids. That's what's going on right now. Like the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee. The cedars of Lebanon saying, since thou art laid down, no fellow has come up against us. They cut down all the trees in the woods and the forests so that nobody can live there. The animals don't have a home. The trees aren't even free to live. I just found out not too long ago that the trees give off a lot of pollen and different things like that. Pollen is tree sperm. A lot of times allergies would get very bad for a lot of brothers and sisters. You understand, when it gets spring, when it gets summer, allergies be very bad, asthma, everything acting up. I found out, I listened to this scientist, the doctor was talking about this, and he explained, he said that our oppressor makes sure that it's male trees and they don't have any female trees because it's mostly male trees in a lot of the cities. And those male trees are just giving off pollen, and all of this tree sperm, which is pollen, doesn't have any females. So the pollen just gathers everywhere instead of going to the female to continue to make more trees and more everything. And then everybody gets sick and can't breathe. You understand? Like every area and aspect of life is affected by our oppressor. Everything is happening. The Bible says hell from beneath, suffering and destruction and the grave and oppression. The same thing that our oppressors put on everyone is moved. It's changed. It's enlarging herself. Moved to meet thee at thy coming. Is waiting to get all the blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans from underneath of your foot so that you can be the one and so that our oppressor can be the one in the field. Being oppressed. Not having freedom to think of new ways to be evil and cruel and starve people to death. New ways to promote their families' businesses. You understand? New ways to steal music, to steal inventions, to steal the resources, steal the fruit. Every people on the planet has their resources stolen by this oppressor. From the rubber trees, the cotton, the sugar cane, the oil, the gold, the diamonds, everything. Anything our oppressor has, he stole it because God didn't give him any inheritance. The only thing God blessed him with is with the sword. Everything else he has, he stole and murdered to get. Everything. Even his name and his identity. He pretended to be Native Americans, pretended to be the Martian, pretended to be the last samurai. He's pretended to be the Britons, pretended to be the Dutch, pretended to be the French. If you go back and look at the coat of arms for all of those Western European countries, you'll see all black men. And then after the Renaissance, once white supremacy got reintroduced into the world with Christianity, everything became white. But nothing was white prior to that. If you go and look at the Vatican, all the Madonna, all the pictures of Christ and baby Jesus and Mary, not that we're talking about worshiping any statues, but all of their pictures that they have are of black people. Shakespeare is a black man. You understand? All the icons in Russia, they got images of black people. That's why one of our textbooks is the Russian icons. You understand? That's why that book now is probably worth thousands of dollars to hide this information from our people. But it's too late. It's too late. You understand? Hell is moved to meet thee at thy coming and stirreth up the dead for thee, even the chief ones of the earth, all the great ones and powerful ones. It have rised up from their thrones, all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, also, art thou also become as we? Art thou become like unto us? Unto us, they're going to say, you just like us now. Where's all your power and your might and your wealth? You were starving us to death. You took our rice, you took our oil, you took our gold, you took our diamonds. You started a civil war. You made me and my brother fight each other for 50 years. You understand? Like they're all going to say, verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven? Your position of power and authority, your rulership and your might, you've fallen from that power that you had, that you wielded. Oh, Lucifer. Lucifer is talking about our oppressor. Lucifer in the Bible is not an angel. Lucifer is a name talking about these so-called white men. That's what all of this is talking about. Son of the morning, meaning every time they see you, you look so bright, so shiny. You look like you're Superman, you're Spider-Man, you're Hollywood, your HBO, your Universal Studios, your special effects. You where everybody goes to make money. You're Washington, D.C. You're the Big Apple, New York, New York, and Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Atlantic City. You're everything. Lights, camera, action. You're Broadway. You look so bright and so wonderful. Everybody thinks that you're God. They think that you're Jesus. They think you're the angels and Daniel. They think that you're the real Jews of the Bible. They look at you like son of the morning, like you bring brightness and light everywhere you go. How art thou cut down to the ground? And that's what's happening, which did is weaken the nations. You made every nation weak because you starved them, you robbed them, you bombed them, you killed them, you started wars, you took over their country, you stopped them from doing what was best for their people. You stopped a man from ruling his own house. You stirred up war and strife between a man, like they stir up war and strife between the black man and the black woman, Hispanic man and Hispanic woman, with your feminism, you understand, with your Christianity, with your democracy, with your Julian marriage laws that trick a woman into believing that a man can only have one woman. And then you come up with this boyfriend, girlfriend nonsense that is completely confusing the hell out of our people that don't understand life the way that God set it up, because we've been raised to follow you. The Lord is going to wipe all of that out. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, up into the stars. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. That's talking about the International Space Station. When he said, I will ascend into heaven, you have heaven. That's where the birds fly. That's why the word heaven in Hebrew is Shemayim. It's plural. Heaven is the sky where the birds fly. You got the firmament up there where the clouds are. Then you got outer space. You understand? The Lord said that this oppressor, that Lucifer, thought to exalt his throne up above the stars of God. Not just the stars in outer space. That's why he made an International Space Station, but also above God's chosen people, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He appointed himself as God, himself as Christ, himself as the righteous and the moral, when in reality, God's chosen people are black. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. That's why they're ruling from North America. The mountain of the congregation, the mountain is in Jerusalem. Our oppressor is sitting in Jerusalem claiming to be the Jews, the Jewish man over in Israel. You understand? I will ascend. I will go beyond, above the heights of the cloud. This is as far as the clouds go. He said, I'm going to go beyond that. The level of vanity and arrogancy to think that you have a right to leave the planet and go be in outer space, that is against God. You understand? I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. I will decide what is like. I'll tell a woman she has permission to kill her baby. I'll tell a woman and a man they have permission to leave each other. I'll tell you that sex is not marriage. Marriage is my ring and a piece of paper. I'll tell you that this is not, abortion is not murder. You can kill that baby if you want to. I'll decide what's right. I'll decide that God made a man and a woman. I'll make other genders. I'll be like God. I'll tell you what's a man, what's a boy, what's other, what's this, what's half and half. You understand? I'll decide. I'll decide you can change your gender, cut your testicles off, turn it into a vagina, yet cut your breast off. I'll decide. This is our oppressor that's talking about in the Bible. I'll decide who gets to live on what land. I'll take these people and put them in this land. I'll steal Mexico and take Texas and fill it with other nations of people. I'll take California, fill it with other nations of people, and call the Mexicans illegal immigrants on their own land. Like, this is what the Bible is talking about. And the Lord said, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to poverty, to suffering, to all of the oppression that's underneath, that is on our people. Our oppressors getting ready to be brought down too. COVID was just a taste. They had to deal with being black and Hispanic for a few months, but they couldn't get their kids into school. They couldn't get daycare like they wanted. They weren't free to go outside and go wherever they needed to be. It wasn't safe. Their health care couldn't get their health right. They were losing their jobs. They couldn't pay their bills, and they went crazy. They started setting police stations on fire. They started traveling around the country just to riot. They started fighting each other. They invaded the Capitol. They took senators hostage. That's what they started to do, because they had to live the way that we live for a few minutes. Just a few minutes, they couldn't take it. Well, the Lord is going to put them on there permanently. And it's coming. You understand? The sides of the pit. Verse 16 says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee. They're going to look at their eyes and they're going to say, consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that bombed everybody, that invaded everybody, that brought his NATO and his United Nations and his sanctions? Is that the man that said we couldn't buy, sell, or trade, that starved everybody? Is this the one? Is this the man right there that shook kingdoms, that made the earth to tremble, dropping bombs, atomic bombs, predator drones, hellfire missiles, helicopters, paratroopers, the 82nd Airborne, the 5th Regiment Marines, the SEAL teams, the Delta Force, the Rangers? You made the earth to tremble. You shook kingdoms. You spread feminism everywhere. You spread democracy everywhere. You caused people to rise up and overthrow their governments, to kill their leaders. You put dictators in charge and then double and triple cross them decades down the line. You understand? Like, is this the man that shook kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness? A wilderness is a place where there aren't resources. But they made the world a wilderness because they stole the resources from everywhere. They set up those brothels. They talk about that fight in human trafficking. The British set up those brothels to have sex with little girls in India, 8, 9, and 10, and 12 years old, little boys in China and Thailand and Japan. The British set those brothels up during their colonial empire. They set those things up. Now they talk about we fighting human trafficking. They trafficked us for centuries. Wasn't no crime. Nobody had to pay. Wasn't no fines. Nobody had to pay retroactive payment for the crimes that they committed against us. They still doing it to this day, and it's not looked at as a crime. That's why the Lord has to step in, and that is why God is bringing them into World War III. This is the patience and the faith of the saints. This is what the faith in Christ is about. Not praying for everything to be all right. Praying for our Savior to bring the armies of heaven and put our oppressors in chains so that we can finally be free. But there's a cost. You understand? There's responsibility on your part. You got to now be responsible. You got to be responsible now. Because the Lord will put you in charge. That's why in the Isupk, we train brothers to be in charge. The problem is the majority of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans don't want to be in charge of themselves. They want another nation of people to rule over them. They don't want to be accountable for who they have sex with. They don't want to be accountable to raise that woman that they had sex with. Because you got to raise your woman. You got to teach her. You got to raise her up. You got to teach them. They don't want to be accountable for having sex with a woman and then don't want to deal with her mouth or don't want to have sex with her anymore. Want to be able to throw her away because the oppressor said you could. You understand? That's going to burn up with America. We got to change. We got to get that out of us. You understand? Don't want to be accountable to say, I'm going to do something and you don't do it. Say, I'm going to be here and you don't show up. You understand? That's why your kids don't believe it. That's why your woman don't believe it. That's why your word, the reputation for our people, because our leaders are liars and whores. They lie about everything. They lie about everything. They steal. They scheme. They go along to get along and shuck and jive. You understand? They don't have a conscience. They don't have rules and a code of conduct and morals. And that is something that Commander General Yohana institutes into the brothers that come into the Isupk and into the sisters. And many brothers and sisters cannot adhere to rules because of how destroyed we grew up as a people. They refuse to adhere to rules and obey the authority that is over them because everyone is used to being in charge of themselves, which is how you get yourself killed. You understand? But that is the cost. We walked in the wilderness for 40 years when we left Egypt because it took 40 years to get Egypt out of our people. You understand? And they said the Lord of hosts. So now we're going to get to that. Like the Lord is bringing destruction. All right, where were we at? The Lord is bringing this. All right. Like, where would we at? The kings of the earth, that made the world a wilderness. I'm going to read Isaiah 14 and 16 again. 17, Salakia. That made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners. It's 1 million blacks and Hispanics sitting in prison right now. All the kings and nations, even all of them lie in glory, everyone in his own house. They're all in their own house. But now our oppressor is going to be wiped out. You understand? Verse 21, the Lord says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquities of their fathers, for the crimes that their fathers have done. The children are going to pay, not only because you benefit intergenerationally from all of the wealth that your fathers had amassed by murdering and enslaving and robbing the children of Israel, but because you are also those forefathers. Reincarnation is in the Bible. When you die, you don't go live in some sandcastle in the sky forever with bright lights and harps and playing and naked white babies with wings, and all the slave owners and slaves is up there hugging together, some endless cookout / choir rehearsal. That's not biblical. That's something that the Romans made up. You understand? That's a Roman play they made up called Dante's Inferno. That's not real. That's never was what was in the Bible. The reality is when you die, your body goes to the earth, your spirit goes back up to the Most High for judgment. And then once you face that judgment, a few generations later, you are born back into the earth as a newborn baby to one of your male relatives down the line. And then they are going to raise you, and you are going to live out the judgment and punishment or the reward for how you lived your previous life. The only thing is, our oppressor and the other nations have never lived out their judgment yet, because the time of our iniquity had not ended. Our time to be punished, our oppressor extended it against God's will. That's why he's going to cut them off. You understand? The Lord says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquities of their fathers, that they do not arise nor possess the land. The Lord don't want our possessors, our oppressors, to own any land. No land. No land on the planet belongs to our oppressors. And they won't in Christ's kingdom. Nor fill the face of the world with cities. They won't live in cities anymore. They'll live in cages. You understand? So that they don't extinct species of animals anymore. So that they don't, cut all the trees down and create deforestation or destroy the Great Barrier Reef, or hunt species of fish and birds to extinction, or put babies in dog cages. They won't be free to be in charge or rule anywhere anymore. Tell a woman to kill her baby, to starve a man to death, to tell a man he got to put on a dress and a lipstick so that he can get a rap contract. They won't be free to do that anymore. You understand? For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name of America is going to be cut off, and the remnant, the leftovers, it won't be a remnant, and the son and nephew, saith the Lord. The son and the nephew reproduce that lineage, because the man has the sperm that reproduces the nation. That's why he said, I'm going to cut off the nephew. I'm going to cut off the son. I'm going to cut all of that male lineage off so that there be no more remaining of the house of Edom. You understand? Like, that's what the Lord is talking about. All right. So let's go from there. Like, this is what the Lord is saying. We're going to go now to the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 28. All right. We're going to go to Jeremiah chapter 28 and verse 8. Real quick, we're going to get that. Jeremiah 28 and 8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old have prophesied. So like it prophesied both. This is what the prophets do. Prophesied both against many countries. You understand? Many countries. The prophets speak against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. You understand? That's what the Lord sent the prophets to do. To warn before the Lord send up destruction. You understand? And it's important to know that, because everyone that fancies themselves as men of God, They have our people believing something opposite of what he raised up a prophet to do. The Lord always rose up prophets to wipe out the oppressors and deliver the children of Israel. It has always been like that in the Bible. You understand? Whether your oppressor gives you a seat in their kingdom, all of that is going to be destroyed. You understand? Whether you are a crooked cop, like the leader of the IUIC, locking black men up on false charges. You understand? In the NYPD, for those of y'all that don't know, Nathaniel 7, or that Bishop Nathaniel, was a corrupt undercover NYPD officer that arrested black men and held them on false charges, even when the evidence had cleared them, and the lawyer had to fight many years to get those brothers free from the false charges that the leader of the IUIC put on them. You understand? They got all kind of crooked cops and criminals all in there, man, that are furthering their criminal lifestyle and behavior at the expense of God's chosen people. Just like Martin Luther King, just like the civil rights leaders, just like Mosque number 12, just like the Nation of Islam, just like all the child molesters from Dr. York, the Africa Bambaataa, just like everyone who appoints themselves as leaders that is not sent by God to lead blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. All right? So now we're going to go to Isaiah chapter 47. All right? Isaiah chapter 47 in verse 1. The Lord said, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon." The Lord called America the virgin daughter. The daughter because it's the offspring of Babylon, and he calls them the virgin because he'd never been touched before. Never been touched, never been, you understand, taken, never been penetrated, never been married, never had to go through these things here. That's why he's using this metaphor as a virgin. For those of you that don't know, a virgin is a young woman of marriageable age, an unmarried woman. That is what a virgin is talking about in the Bible. Just so that we are clear, a man cannot be a virgin. A virgin is tied to a menstrual cycle. It's only something that a woman can be. The homosexual Roman Catholic Church started calling boys virgins. Virginity has always only been something that a woman can have. All right? So when the Lord says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin, O untouched daughter of Babylon," sit on the ground. There is no throne. You're not going to be sitting in high in authority anymore. O daughter of the Chaldeans. Chaldeans in Babylon, that is in Iraq, that is where the ancient land of Chaldea is. Abraham's father was Ur of the Chaldees. Ur of Chaldea is in the Middle East. Chaldea is in the Middle East. That's where Babylon is. That's where Nineveh is. That's where Syria was. That's where life began in the Middle East. It never began in Africa, never began in Egypt. All of the history books and records would tell you about the ancient Sumerian culture of, you understand, Mesopotamian. None of that is in Africa. It's always been in the Middle East. All right? It says, "For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." You won't be looked at as beautiful and sweet and wonderful and Broadway lights and Universal Studios, Hollywood. And that's not what America's looked at now. It says, "Take millstones and grind meal." A millstone is a big stone that's used to grind wheat. It's an old stone. Of course, they don't use it that much anymore. You can look that up. "Uncover thy locks." Uncover your hair. You understand? Make bare the leg. I mean, uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers, meaning make yourself bare. Everything that with a virgin is using the example because she's covered herself up. You're not seeing all of her. She's not showing her nakedness and exposing herself. She's covered up because a husband is going to have her. That's how it's supposed to be. She's not exposed for everyone to see and have her to have their turn with and use her up and throw her away, which is what our oppressor makes his society about. You understand? And verse 3, it says, "Thy nakedness, your shame shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen." The Lord is saying your shame is going to be seen. They're going to see you talking about all of this freedom and love and justice, and they wrong. They got ISIS over there. They got terrorists over there. Now they see you with your police department putting your knee on George Floyd's throat for 10 minutes. They're going to see your callous, heartless murder with your authority. They're going to see you talking about refugees. We take immigrants. They're going to see how you took care of Ukraine and Iraq and Afghanistan, and see how you're on horseback whipping Haitian brothers and sisters that live under a bridge because you don't have compassion for black people. They're going to see you forcing Mexican babies and Latin and you understand, and El Salvadorian and Central and South American babies in dog cages. They see you putting 4-year-olds on trial before a judge to send them in prison, flying planes all across America in your dark sites, holding babies for ransom, talking about we lost 80,000 babies. We lost all the Hispanic babies that came. They see your missionaries in the Bahamas going and rescuing the children and taking them away from their children, taking them away from their parents in the flood, while you running some brothel selling black babies to old, impotent white families because they're rich. And because our people are destroyed, you take your opportunity to sell us under the guise of your Christian church, just like you did the Gadites with Indian boarding schools, just like you did kill the Indian, save the man. You are going to be known for the evil that you do. You understand? All the murder and crimes you commit against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You're going to be known for school shootings, for your little sons and daughters shooting up schools, shooting up Tennessee, shooting up Florida. You understand? Shooting up daycares, shooting up grocery stores, killing and murdering the poor, forcing poor people into prostitution like your Kansas City detectives did, running prostitution rings throughout your churches and your religious systems, committing all kind of heinous acts against children, murdering babies with abortion, forcing homosexuality on the rest of the world that does not agree with it. That's what you're going to be known for. God said your shame shall be uncovered. How your own people are lawless criminals who wanted to kidnap and hurt senators, threatening senators all across America, wanted to hurt the vice president, kidnap Nancy Pelosi, storm the Capitol on January 6th. That's what you'll be known for from now on. Not Hollywood, not the Big Apple, not Las Vegas, not Los Angeles. You're going to be known for school shootings, mass shootings, domestic terrorism. That's what God said. That's why it's happening. I will take vengeance. This is the Lord beginning his vengeance. He said, I will not meet thee as a man. I'm not going to be a man that you can go and kill at a traffic stop. God said, I'm not going to meet you as a man. You won't be fighting a man. You're going to be fighting a spirit that makes your own sons commit acts of violence. You can make the AR-15 illegal if you want. Only thing that's going to do is force your own people to further go against your government, to further go against, force your own law enforcement to turn against you, force your own military to turn against you, force your own senators to turn against each other. That's what you're going to do. God said, I won't meet you as a man. That's the Lord doing these things. You understand? The Lord is doing this. As for our Redeemer, the Holy One of hosts, the Lord of hosts is his name, the God of armies. The Lord sent an army of angels to put evil spirits on men, and you'll have the Proud Boys and Antifa fighting and stabbing each other down in Washington, D.C. They'll have to call the National Guard out. He sent an army of evil spirits, and they'll set the Target and the police station on fire in Minnesota. You'll have to call out the National Guard while fighting against China and Russia to save Taiwan and to save the Ukraine and to stop Russia from invading the rest of Europe. You understand? Like the Lord is closing the doors on this place, man. God said, the Holy One of Israel, sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms, the Big Apple, the fair and beautiful place. If you can get to America, everything will be all right. They're going to say, we got to go back to China. America got too much violence, man. These damn white kids keep shooting up schools. We got to get the hell out of here. It's time to go back to Ethiopia. We made enough money. Crazy Duggar are shooting up goddamn Walmart. We got to get out of here, man. They shooting up daycares, killing babies, shooting up colleges, shooting up nightclubs. We got to get out of here, man. These oppressors is out of control. We got to get out of here. You understand? The Lord said, I was wroth. I was angry with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance. I've weakened my people by putting them at your mercy and your culture and subjecting them to your rule and giving them into thine hand. The Lord said he gave us into our oppressors' hands because we disobeyed him. The Lord did this. Thou didst show them no mercy. The Lord said, I gave them into your hands, yeah, but I didn't give them into your hands so that you can rape them in your plantations, but so that you can do experiments on them, you understand, and cut them alive. I didn't give them to you so that you can drown their babies in the river or feed them to alligators, so that you could cut the pregnant woman's fetus out and bash the babies into rocks and stomp their heads. I didn't give them to you for that. I didn't give them to you for you to destroy them and wipe them out and steal their identity and call them Afro-Americans and Latinos and Puerto Ricans and Haitians and Dominicans and Brazilians and force them to speak your language and take your gods and your religions. I didn't give them to you for that. The Egyptians didn't do that. That's why when the Lord punished Egypt, Egypt's punishment was over. They paid. He didn't wipe Egypt out. Egypt still existed after we left, but they paid for what they did. But what our oppressors have done to us here, this is beyond what the other nations have done. You understand? Neither did us remember the latter end of it. You didn't think you were going to have to pay for it. You patterned America after Babylon and Egypt, but what you didn't realize is the Egyptians paid for what they did to the children of Israel. Our oppressor is so arrogant, he never feels that he's going to have to pay for murdering Tamir Rice. 14-year-old George Stinney was executed, a baby, put in an electric chair in a mass mock execution for a crime they didn't even give time to do an investigation. Same with Emmett Till. White women say he whistled at her, but they just broke in his house, killed him, lynched him, beat him to death, ripped his eyes out, drowned him, broke him, beat the piss out of this brother, as they still do to us in this day. You understand? Same thing they did with the Native American brothers through the Trail of Tears and all the other wars, man. The Lord said, hear this. You didn't remember that you would have to pay for it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures. You live in whatever pleasures, whatever wine, whatever you want to indulge in, all your fruit and strawberries from the Mexicans, from all of the brothers and sisters that you starved to death because you got your foot on their neck while you steal their fruits and vegetables and their pleasant things. You dwell carelessly, live however you want, carelessly. You ever hear the oppressor talk about, well, the summer home and the beach home and our families? And this has been in our family for years. The only reason your family has anything in America is because they murdered Native Americans to get it. The only reason they have anything is because they murdered Mexicans to get it, because they murdered black people to get it, because they stole the inventions and made no accounts of our labors for hundreds of years of free labor that we literally worked ourselves to death to build your world empire. All of that wealth in England and Europe, that wealth comes from what they got off of our people. The Lord said, hear this, that saith in thy heart, I am, and none else besides me. You proud to be an American, well, at least I know I'm free. She the shining sea. God bless America. You understand? Hail the queen. All of this nonsense, the Lord said, I shall not sit as a widow. I'm not going to be losing my kids the way you losing yours. I'm not going to be a widow. Neither shall I know the loss of children. This is what the Lord said. But these two things shall come upon thee in a moment, in one day. The loss of children. The Lord said our oppressors are going to lose their children the way that they take children from Mexicans, the way that they take children from the Central American brothers and sisters, the way that they take children, you understand, from the brothers in Jamaica and Haiti and Dominican Republic and Brazil and the Native American brothers and sisters. The Lord said in one day, loss of children and widowhood. You're going to kiss your husband goodbye. Your husband is not going to come home from work. You understand? And it's going to be by the hand of your own people, not us. We ain't doing violence to nobody. In fact, we teaching our people to stop doing violence to each other. It's your sons and daughters that's doing all these mass shootings and murder. You understand? Brothers in the hood killing each other with 9mm and 40 cals after your police force drops illegally guns into the hood and gives them out. You understand? He said that widowhood and the loss of children, they shall come upon thee in their perfection. God said it was perfection coming. For the multitude of thy sorceries, the witchcraft that you've done against our people, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. You trusted in your ability to pass a law to make you think it's acceptable to kill a baby, to make you think it's acceptable to tell a woman she can leave her man, tell a man he can have sex with a woman and leave her because of your policies, your laws. You understand? You trusted in your wickedness, your voting, your Christianity, your legislative branch, your educational system to destroy and oppress our people, your economy, your dollar, your banks, your crypto, your Bitcoin. You trusted in it. Thou sayest, none seeth me. Nobody saw this. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, all the wisdom you learned, all of your science that you learned, all of the wealth and power you've amassed, everything you learned, it had perverted thee. It made you think that you can decide to turn a woman into a man and a man into a woman. Stop the hormones that God put into a boy from turning him into a man, and that God put into a little girl to turn her into a woman. Your wisdom and knowledge about how the body works have perverted you to make you think that that is something that God would not answer you for. And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else is beside me. How do they say that? Well, it's 2023. Back in the time when these things were written, they were old. It was medieval days. You know, they didn't have gender equality. They didn't have freedom of speech. It was a very oppressive time. And, you know, this very old way of thinking in the old world, yeah, it's an old way of thinking. It made us a great, strong, and mighty people and kept the cavemen in the caves. And once we changed our thinking, the cavemen became mighty and strong. And now we live in cities stacked on top of each other with nothing. You understand? The Bible said, seek ye the old paths. Ask for the old ways. That's what it says in the Bible. You understand? The Bible says, therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it rises. You ain't going to know where it's coming from. You're going to be looking for Russia, 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 and then your son is going to leave a manifesto and on his way to school. You're going to be looking for China, China, China. What is China doing? And then your son is going to dress up like a woman. You understand? And go take his rifle and 239mm and go and invade a school. You're going to be saying Korea, they shoot missiles in Korea. They got terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then your own people are going to go and set a police station on fire in Minnesota. You understand? The Lord said, evil shall come upon thee and you won't know where it's coming from. You're going to be getting your economy going, and then the Lord send COVID-19 and everybody's economy stops. You won't know where it's coming from. And mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to put it off. You won't be able to stop it. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. You're not going to know it. You ain't going to understand it. That's what the Lord is saying, man. God is bringing these things, man. We're going to pick up here next week. You understand? All right, Akim, we over the time. Most High in Christ, all right. All right, all right. We load over the time for Wada Akim. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. All right. Increasing Captain Not Shah. You're tuning to the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge in the state of Virginia. Make sure that you like, share, subscribe. Make sure that you pay your tithes. Make sure that you call the Isupk school in whatever city and state that you are in. All right. Make sure that you do those things. It's very important. Pay your tithes. Get in contact with the school. Lock all the way in. Brothers, young men, troopers, you understand. Make sure you follow the orders that you were given. Make sure that you in and you locked in. You understand? Because this place is getting ready to go up. You understand? To the brothers, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Barakathum. To the sisters, Yahweh Shamar Alathun. Ba'ashim Yahushua. Make sure you tune in right here on Friday. Hebrew language class. Lashawan Kodash. Make sure that you learn to speak, read, and write Hebrew. You understand? Biblical, ancient Hebrew. You learn right here every Fridays. All right? With that, shalom.